Hey guys, how are you? Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome back to my channel. Guys, we're not going to even take a whole lot of time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to jump right in. We are getting ready to read. There's a lot. There's 6 days of testimony and it's like let me see. It's we'll get into all that at another time. We're not going to talk about how much we have to read. Just know that there's 6 days of testimony and we're going to get into it, okay? Let's get into it. So we did the first day and then day 2, day 3 and day 4, keep in mind. So we're talking about Sakina Thompson. Who is Sakina Thompson? Hold on, let me move this out the way. Let me move this out the way. You guys know who she is. Ma'am is hold on. Hold on. You know who Sakina is, okay? Sakina jumped on a plane from New York and went down to Florida, okay? And she was bitter and spiteful. Ma'am was having a time, okay? So day 1, there were some motions and they were getting ready to start jury selection. In this particular case, jury selection took the remainder of day 1, which we didn't even read jury selection. If you want to read jury selection, it's available. I'm not going to, we're not going to, we've already talked about this. We're not doing jury selection. Jury selection has lots of people's names, where they work, all kinds of personal information. If jury selection is something that you're very interested in, then I will let you know how to get those transcripts. When I finish with everything, I'll post them on Patreon. If you are really interested in the case, then you should know how to source these yourself because it's not difficult. If you have any questions, you can just send me a note or something like that. But jury selection just has a lot of personal information about potential jurors or the jurors, and I don't want to get into all that. So boom. Let me see. Is this the right date? Hold on one second. My bad. Let me fix this. I have to fix something. I just noticed I made a mistake on something. Okay. So we're starting with day 5 or volume 5. Volume 5 is where testimony actually started and opening statements. So just to be clear, so anyone coming in, it's kind of like, well, what happened to day 2, day 3, day 4? That was all jury selection. And we're picking up exactly where the jury is sworn in and all of the things. So let's just get into it. The date is September 30th. And I just fixed that. So that should be showing up corrected in just a second. So if you're live with me right now, today is February 6th. Today is Friday. Okay. And we are reading September 30th, 2025. We are in the Circuit Court, 17th Judicial Circuit in Broward County, Florida. And it's Judge Andrew Seagull. And we are getting into into volume 5, where we are going to be getting into opening statements and the first witness. Okay, so today the testimony, let me see, state's opening statement, defense's opening statement. Then they have testimony from Officer Amy Huston, testimony from Matthew Herbert, and testimony from Janelle Ying, Venus Byron, Ravelto Robinson, Jemiah Anthony. They went through a lot of people on this day. Lisa Almanza Londo, Janicia Tate, and Alan Ramseur. So some of these names you guys should that should be somewhat familiar if you've been following this case. Also, there are some exhibits. I don't know that they transcribed the body worn camera video. I'm not sure. I need to look at some of the discovery I have. It's quite possible some of the discovery that I have was labeled Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3. I haven't looked at that yet. Well, I've looked at it, but I didn't correspond it. Let's just get into the reading. And if when this is over, if I can correspond what I think were the exhibits that they showed at this time, I can show you. But I don't want to show something that may not be quite accurate. So the main thing is that we want to hear the proceedings, right? So it would be nice to know what they're discussing, but I don't want to chance it on showing the wrong thing. So anyway, so here we go. So this is basically, it's giving a full kind of listing of everything that happened, who was questioned by whom, and what pages those things are on. So let's just get into it. They list the exhibits that were shown for the day. And then here is where we start the proceedings. Be it remembered that the following proceedings were had in the above entitled cause before the Honorable Andrew Seagull, Judge of the Circuit Court in Broward County, Florida, with appearances as herein above noted. Thereupon, the following proceedings were heard at 10:49 a.m. The court, we know who the court is. That's the judge. Miss Ross, ROS, that is Sakina's lawyer. The court says, okay, let's get him in. Court at ease. The bailiff, jurors entering the court. Thank you. Okay, let me just make sure to say hi to everybody coming in. Make sure to tap in as you come in. If you're on the replay, make sure to tap in as you come in. And if you would like to participate in the chat, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Hit subscribe, make sure your notifications are set so that you can be notified when I go live, post videos, and we read through this whole thing. Okay. All right. We have, several days of testimony to get through. So this might take us, a minute into next week. So we're going to do the best we can today. And we're going to go at least 2-3 hours, get through as much as we can. And then we will finish this one up. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Anybody have any questions? Hello. It's lunchtime. You guys feel free. You guys chat. You guys share your lunches. Talk about whatever. I'm probably not. I want to make minimal stops because I want to get through this as much, as painless as possible. So we can keep going and get through this as much as possible. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, member. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All of the members, subscribers, those who are, any tips, any of those things like that. I appreciate y'all so much. Okay. Everybody have a seat. To Miss McDonald, I really apologize, number one, for calling the wrong person. I hope everybody else got my text this morning, but not the crew that was here yesterday. I didn't text them because I knew they were here yesterday. So with that, again, I really appreciate you doing what you need to do to get everything coordinated. The room is going to be yours. It's going to be locked up for a while so that if you want to leave anything in there, so they're talking to the jury, okay? There are some waters back there. There's coffee for you, but having started, let me have you guys all stand up so that we can get you sworn in and we can begin. Jury sworn, the clerk. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that you will try the issue between the state of Florida and the defendant and render a true verdict according to the law and evidence? The jury panel responds. Thereupon, the jury panel was sworn under oath by the clerk. The clerk says, thank you. The court have a seat. instructions by the court. So, and you guys can follow along. So with that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you settled and sworn as the jury that's going to try this case known as the state of Florida versus Sakina Thompson? It is a criminal case. As I told you during the jury selection, Ms. Thompson is charged with the crime of murder in the first degree. The definition or elements of the crime will be explained to you later. The state's charging document, as I told you before, it was an indictment. It's not evidence in the case. You're not to consider it as evidence at all, nor to consider it as proof of guilt. It's going to be my responsibility to decide which laws apply to the case and explain these laws to you later on or as we go. It's going to be your responsibility to decide the facts of the case. Thus, the province of the jury and the province of the court are well defined. They do not overlap with each other. Thus, you're going to take the facts as they come in and apply them to the law and make a decision. This is, of course, one of the fundamental principles of our system of justice. Before proceeding any further, I'm going to explain to you exactly how trial is conducted for those of you that have not been on a jury. At the beginning of the trial, the attorneys have an opportunity, if they wish, to make what's known as an opening statement. The opening statement gives the attorneys a chance to tell you what they believe the evidence is going to be, that's going to be presented, and of course the scope of the trial. That's the lawyers, that what the lawyers say is not evidence, and you're not to consider it as such. Following the opening statement, witnesses are going to be called to testify. They'll be placed under oath. They're going to be examined and cross-examined by the attorneys. Documents or other exhibits may be produced and introduced into evidence. After the evidence is presented to you, the attorneys will have what's known as an opportunity to make a final and closing statement. It's following the final and closing argument that I will instruct you on the law that's applicable to the case. After the instructions that will be given to you, I'll tell you who the alternate jurors are and who the regular members are that are going to go back in and consider and deliberate on the case. It's going to be your responsibility to determine if the state has proved its accusations beyond a reasonable doubt against Ms. Thompson. Your verdict is to be based solely on the evidence or lack of evidence, and the law that I instruct you is applicable to that. You're not to form any definite or fixed opinions on the merits of the case until such time that you've heard all of the evidence. You've heard the arguments that have been made to you by the lawyers. You've heard the instructions that will be given to you by me. Until that time, you're not at all to discuss the case amongst yourselves. During the course of the trial, all cell phones, computers, tablets, and other electronic devices need to be turned off while you're in the courtroom. Turned off means actually turned off. We need to make sure everybody has their phones turned off, no texting, no anything else, so they can't even be the slightest or vibrating mode, as it just said a minute ago. As I just said a minute ago, you're not going to be able to use your cell phone, computer, or tablet, or electronic devices to find out any information about this case, communicate with anybody about this case, or about the people or places involved in this case. This will, of course, include reading newspapers, watching television, using computers, using cell phones, using internet, or any type of electronic device whatsoever by means whatsoever to get information related to the case, people, places involved in the case. You'll be able to turn on your phones. You'll be able to turn your phones on when you leave here, obviously. You'll be able to have your phones while you're not sitting here, or your computers or tablets, but you're not going to be able to use those for any purposes whatsoever to find out information from the case. The only thing that's going to come from within these four walls, so that you know that you'll be using your common sense to make the decision. Again, you're not to do any research related to the issues that may be raised or come up information at all, or raised or look up information at all. You're not to visit any of the places that may be mentioned during the course of the trial. You're not to use the internet to look at maps, pictures, or places that may be discussed in the trial. If you become aware of any violation of any rules that apply, you need to notify Eric or the court personnel of this violation. And this is going to apply to you whether you are in the courthouse, whether you're at home, or whether you're anywhere else. Again, I instruct you to not communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, about the case. This would include email, text messaging, tweeting, blogging, posting information on websites, chat rooms, or other forms of electronic communication or social media. You're not to take photographs, make video recordings, or audio recordings of the proceedings of your fellow jurors. Like I said before, you'll be able to take your devices with you, but even when you take your devices with you, you're not to be able to communicate or tell anybody about what's going on in the case, or communicate with anybody involved in the case. After recess, I need you to make sure that you turned off your phone and turned back on, so that you'll be able to have them when you're out. But when you're back in here, you can't. Lastly, or part of the trial, is you're not to have any discussions with your friends or family members at all about the case, or people or places involved in the case. So you're not to let even the closest of your family members or friends make comments to you or ask you questions about the trial. In the age of electronic communications, again, I need to stress you're not to talk about the case. Whether it's face to face, you're not to communicate to anybody. You're not to use any he left no stone unturned in this explanation. It's like, my God, if you violate, it's because you really you weren't listening, or you just didn't want to. You didn't want to pay attention. So anyway, whether it's face to face, you're not to communicate with anybody. You're not to use any type of electronic device to tell your friends or family members anything. You're not to send messages about the case or your jury duty service. You're not to discuss the case at all, period. No ifs, ands, or but with anybody about the case. If anything comes up during the course that you need to answer to a particular question, we can do that here. During the course of the trial, again, we'll take recesses. You'll be permitted to go about your separate ways, take care of your personal affairs during the recess. Again, you're not to discuss the case with anybody or permit anybody to say anything to you about this case. If anybody does, tell them immediately to stop and leave them immediately, and come back. And if they continue, come back and tell Eric, and he'll bring it to my attention so that we make sure that I know about it and we take care of what we need to take care of. At the end of the case, while you're deliberating, you're not going to be able to have your cell phones or computers with you while you're deliberating. At the end of the case, while you're deliberating, you're not going to be able to communicate with anybody outside of the jury room. Again, this is not the type of case. This is not the type of case I told you where you're sequestered, but you'll be in back deliberating. If somebody needs to contact you, we'll give you an emergency telephone number before you leave today. If you want an emergency telephone number, we'll give you an emergency telephone number to be able to call so that they can leave a message so that they can tell us to get a hold of you, and we'll get a hold of you if you want one. Again, the case is to be tried by you upon the evidence presented in the trial during the in the presence of myself and the presence of the defendant and the presence of the attorneys. Jurors are again not to conduct any investigation on their own. The reasons for these rules are clear. They're imposed because the jurors need to decide the case without distraction only upon the evidence that is presented in a courtroom. If you were able to do your I guess he meant to say own investigation, do research or check on things on your own, I would have no way, nor would the parties have any way to make sure that the information you obtain is proper and relevant to the case. Likewise, the parties would not have an opportunity to dispute or challenge the accuracy of what you find. This, of course, is contrary to our system of justice, which ensures that every party has a right to ask questions about and challenge the evidence being considered against it is present with the regard to that evidence. An independent investigation of the juror unfairly and improperly prevents the parties from having the opportunity that our system of justice promises. Any juror that violates this restriction jeopardizes the fairness of the proceedings, and a mistrial could result, which could require the entire trial process, which would require the entire trial process to have to start over. A mistrial is a tremendous expense and inconvenience for the parties, for the court, and for the taxpayers. If you violate these rules, you can be held in contempt of court, you can face sanctions, you can serve time in jail, you can end up paying a fine, community service, and anything else that's available with regards to a violation of promises that are made to us by you in regard to these commitments. In every criminal proceeding, a defendant has an absolute right to remain silent, and at no time is the duty of the defendant to prove their innocence. From the exercise of the defendant's rights to remain silent, the jury is not permitted to draw any inference of guilt. And the fact that the defendant does or does not take the witness stand does not influence your verdict in any manner whatsoever. The attorneys, again, are trained with regard to the rules of evidence and trial procedures. It's going to be their duty to make objections when they feel they're proper. Likewise, an objection is made. You're not to speculate why it's being made. And when the objection is sustained or upheld by me, you're not to speculate what might have occurred had the objection not been sustained, nor what the witness may have been permitted to answer. Lastly, during the trial, it's necessary for me to confer with the attorneys from time to time. What we'll do is go sidebar like you saw during the period of time during jury selection. If I think it's appropriate or if I think somebody needs to take a break, what we'll do is we'll send you back to the jury room so you guys can relax too while we have a discussion. It's impossible, like I said, to predict how long a conference might take. When such a conference occurs, we'll do our best that we can to consume as little time as necessary. With that, you have notepads at your desk or your seats. If you want to take notes, you can take notes. On the other hand, you're not obligated to take notes if you don't want to. It's kind of leaving up to you individually as to what you do or whether you don't. But if you do take notes, you need to take notes on those notepads, and any notes that you take are for your own personal use and your own personal use only. You're not going to be able to take those notes from the courtroom when you leave. They are to be secured. They're going to be placed in security so that nobody will be able to have access to them during the recess. When you come back, they'll be on your seats waiting for you. Eric is going to put them out there. At the end of the trial, they'll be destroyed. So nobody ever is going to be able to read your notes. If you do decide to take notes, please do not get so involved in note-taking process that you become distracted from the proceeding. The notes are an aid for your memory and for your memory only. Whether you do take notes or whether you don't take notes, you'll be able to take those back with you when you do your deliberations. However, you do rely on your own memory of the evidence and not to be unduly influenced by any notes that may be taken by any other jurors. Notes are not entitled to a greater weight than each juror's memory of the evidence. With that, let me close with this. With that, state ready? Miss Johnson says, yes, Your Honor. The court, Miss Johnson, opening statement. Woo, baby, we're in for a lot of words. Okay. Okay. You know what? I should get a cup of water. Okay, let me get a bottle of water rather. Okay. Just one second, guys. Okay. I got 2 bottles of water. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Nosy. I appreciate it. Okay. 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 Oh, I was so comfortable before. Okay, here we go. So this is Miss Johnson. She's the prosecutor. Okay. She says, good morning. Good morning. Jury panel responds. Okay. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We are home to beautiful beaches. Just make this a little bigger. Ooh. Okay. Okay, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We are home to beautiful beaches, a diverse culinary scene, happening nightlife. In fact, approximately 13 million people travel down to visit Fort Lauderdale every year. In 2022, the defendant in that in 2022, the defendant was in that number when she planned a trip from her home state of New York to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And her planning went just like typical planning would. She booked a flight. She booked Spirit Airlines flight NK 856, and she booked this flight on July 11th, 2022. The flight was to depart LaGuardia Airport and arrive to Fort Lauderdale, Florida on July 12th. She also booked a return flight on July 11th, 2022. And that return flight was supposed to return back to her home state of New York on July 14th, 2022. That wasn't on her itinerary, wasn't visiting. What wasn't on her itinerary wasn't visiting our beautiful beaches. It wasn't having fine dining at our diverse culinary scene. It wasn't planning to attend a happening nightlife. What was on her itinerary was visiting the Tamarack Village apartments, and the main attraction, the main excursion at the Tamarack Village apartments was to eliminate a citizen and a resident of this county, a beautiful 23-year-old named Kayla Hodgson, who had happened to have taken a liking to the defendant's boyfriend, also who lived in New York. What the evidence will show is that everything went according to the defendant's plan. She boarded the flight. She arrived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on July 12, 2022. She took a rideshare service from the Plaza Hotel in Fort Lauderdale. She booked a room for 2 nights. She checked into the room at the Plaza Hotel. She changed from her airport clothes. She changed into a black jacket, black pants, black shoes. She put a baseball cap on and a COVID mask. She took a ride share to Tamarack Village Apartments, and she was there from approximately 2 a.m. and Kayla had already left work, and she waited and she waited. And when Kayla returned at approximately 4:44 a.m., her plan was executed and Kayla was murdered. The defendant made sure that Kayla isn't here to tell you the details of her attack, but that's why we have an autopsy, because Kayla's autopsy will tell you the details of her homicide. 37. This is the number of injuries that we're going to go over with Dr. Eli from the Broward Medical Examiner's Office testifies. 37 at the hands of the defendant. Of 37 injuries, of those 37 injuries that we're going to go over, Kayla sustained defensive wounds to her right palm, defensive wounds to her right palmar thumb, defensive wounds to her right dorsal thumb, defensive wounds to her right palmar middle finger, defensive wounds to her right dorsal hand, defensive wounds to her left dorsal hand, defensive wounds to her left palmar middle finger, defensive wounds to her left palm index finger. In addition to that, on her hands, you're going to hear that during the struggle, as Kayla was fighting for her life, that she lost actually one of her real actual nails that came off with the false nail that she was wearing. And within the 37 injuries, you're also going to hear that Kayla was defending herself from a sharp force incised wound to her nose that Dr. Eli will tell you went through her skin, her soft tissue, the cartilage of her nose, and ended in her nasal bones. A shock force incised wound to her upper eyelid that Dr. Eli will tell you passed through her skin and her soft tissue. A soft force incised wound of her left cheek that Dr. Eli will tell you measured 7 centimeters in length and 4 centimeters in depth. I had to take a ruler out because I didn't know what 7 centimeters was about. 7 centimeters is like about 2.5, 2 3/4 inches. 7 centimeters is not is deep, or long. So it measured 7 centimeters in length and 4 centimeters in depth. 4 centimeters in depth is maybe just a little bit over an inch, like 1.25 inches. A sharp force incised wound to her left chin, and Dr. Eli will tell you measured 5.5 centimeters in length and 2 centimeters in depth. A stab wound to her left neck. The stab wound had a depth of 4 centimeters. Dr. Eli is going to tell you that it passed through her skin, her soft tissue, and ended in her left jugular vein and her left carotid artery. You're going to hear that while Kayla died on her own kitchen floor and that the defendant cleaned up, changed into Kayla's clothes, put on Kayla's slides, took some of Kayla's personal items, dragged Kayla out of her way, in her own blood, away from the door, and left disguised in Kayla's attire. She caught a ride share back to the Plaza Hotel, checked back into her room. For 12 hours, Kayla laid on the floor in a pool of blood. She wasn't discovered until later in the next day at approximately 3 p.m. You're going to hear from Detective Christopher Williams. Detective Christopher Williams led the crime scene at Kayla's apartment, and you're going to hear that they processed the crime scene for days. In fact, on July 14th, 2022, the crime scene was still being processed. And on July 14th, 2022, while the crime scene was still being processed, the defendant was at the Fort Lauderdale airport as planned, boarding her flight back to New York. Everything went according to plan except being discovered. Kayla's body will not only tell you the details of her brutal attack, but her body will tell you who did it, because there was something that the defendant could not clean up and take with her. And that was the DNA of the defendant that was under Kayla's fingernail and occupied and occurred during as she was trying to protect herself. Actions will always speak louder than words, and during this trial, you will have the benefit to observe for yourself through the surveillance and other evidence the defendant's actions prior to her actions during this homicide and other actions afterwards. On August 3rd, 2022, approximately 3 weeks after the defendant took a journey of over 1,200 miles to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, she was arrested in her home state of New York. And just like the journey, this evidence in the trial will also take you through a journey, only that the destination of this journey is justice and accountability for Kayla's murder. Miss Ross told you in the jury selection that there's only one person that has a job to do, and the job comes from this table. And at the end of this trial, from this table, we will have proven that the defendant committed every element of murder in the first degree beyond a reasonable doubt. And at the end, I will ask you return a verdict that the evidence supports. The court. Thank you very much. Ms. Ross, this defense opening statement. And so it actually ended up being Ms. Barrios. Members of the jury, this is not a case about premeditated killing. This is a case about a woman's instinctive reaction to protect her own life and the life of her unborn child. Members of the jury, you're going to find out how Sakina Thompson was dating a man by the name of Terry Thurmagen. They were dating on and off for a very long time. They lived in New York, and you're going to learn that they traveled back and forth between here and New York. It was often. It was not anything out of the ordinary for them. You're going to learn that they had a toxic relationship. You're going to learn that Terry was a little bit controlling. You're going to also learn that one of the bigger issues in their relationship was Terry's infidelity with Kayla Hodgson. Now taking you back a little bit before this incident, Sakina had found out and you're going to learn this, that Sakina had found out that Terry had cheated on her with Kayla, and she broke up with him. She actually had reached out to Kayla to talk and find out what's going on. She wanted to ask if anything was going on, and Kayla did not respond to her. Kayla actually blocked her and did not say anything. So during this time, you're going to learn that Sakina was pregnant and how, unfortunately, she miscarried that pregnancy. Now, you're also going to learn that some time went by and how Sakina and Terry got back together. And now, fast forward some time, she's become pregnant again and dealing with the experience that she had previously dealt with. She was ecstatic to have a relationship with him and to build a family with him. But there was still a lingering issue in the relationship, and that was Kayla Hodgson. So at this point, this is what brings me here today. On July 12th, 2022, Sakina was approximately 8 weeks pregnant and had recently found out. And you're going to hear how she wanted to talk to Kayla and why didn't she and why she want and why did she want to talk to Kayla again? She wanted to talk to Kayla because she knew that they were seeing each other. She knew that they were seeing each other again. She had recently just found out. She also knew that Kayla was also seeing multiple guys on the side and wanted to know from Kayla herself what the relationship between Kayla and Terry was. Because after all, members of the jury, Sakina was going to have a child with this man and start a family with him. So she wanted to know from Kayla where the relationship stood. And like I previously mentioned before, she didn't have the ability to just call her. She didn't have the ability to text her or to reach out to her on Instagram because she had blocked her. What she did know is that Kayla lived down here. And you are going to learn that Sakina booked a flight on Spirit Airlines from July 12th to July 14th. And Sakina had a pre-planned work trip during that time. You're going to learn that one of her jobs was to do nails. She had a clientele in New York. She had clientele down here. She would fly back and forth to do nails, and that is why the trip was booked. But she figured, let me take this opportunity to go speak with Kayla, woman to woman, and see what is going on with this relationship. Now, you're also going to learn that Sakina travel down here was normal for her, whether it was for Terry, whether it was for fun, or whether it was from for whether it was from work. It was something that was not out of the ordinary for her. Now, you're going to also hear that on July 12th, she got a flight from New York to Fort Lauderdale. How she landed, she went to the Plaza Hotel. She checked herself in, and you're going to see all this video surveillance. She checked herself in. She waited until 2 a.m. Why did she wait until 2 a.m.? You're going to learn that Sakina was aware that Kayla was a bartender. Bartenders, they work late, right? So she wasn't sure at what time she would be going to go home. So she figured places here start getting closed at 2 a.m. Let me just go over there. That's why she got there at 2 a.m. Okay. So she waited for her. Kayla wasn't at home, so she waited. Now you're going to see video of her walking around looking for something. And the reason why that's happening is because you're going to see the layout of the building. You're going to learn that Tamarack Village was an apartment complex where you have multiple buildings. Each building has different numbers, but the layout and the floor layouts is the same. You have building 1, the apartment numbers are the same. You have building 2, the apartment numbers are the same. They're very close together. She got lost. And that is why you're going to see she is roaming around and looking. She knew where Kayla lived. And that is why she was roaming around. Now, you're also going to hear that once Kayla came home, Sakina knocked on the door. You're going to hear that Kayla opened the door, and you're going to hear that Kayla let her in. You're going to hear from detectives that there was no evidence of any forced entry in this case. You're going to hear how they spoke for a little while. They spoke about the situation and how the conversation turned into an argument. Kayla did not want to stop seeing Terry. And you're going to hear that once Sakina told Kayla that she was pregnant with Terry's baby, an argument escalated to a physical fight. You're going to hear how Kayla shoved and hit Sakina. And Sakina, being 8 weeks pregnant, she tried to leave. This woman to woman conversation that Sakina had in mind had escalated, and it turned into something more than what she planned when she went to go talk to Kayla woman to woman. So what happened next? You're going to learn that Sakina is attempting to leave from the front door. From the front door, something hit her. She had her back turned, and at that moment, she felt something hit the top of her head, something hard, something sharp. And then she just saw glass shatter on the floor. You're going to hear that she was bleeding from her head. And now, at this point, she had no idea what she had just been struck with, but she did know that she had been struck with something because she felt it. And now she was bleeding from her head. And the moment that she turned around, she saw Kayla coming at her. So what does Sakina do? You're going to hear how she grabbed a piece of glass from the floor. You're going to hear how at that moment, all that was going on through Sakina's mind was her baby, and how she needed to make sure that nothing bad happened to her or her baby. So she fought. She fought back until the threat was gone. And once the threat was gone, she realized that Kayla was on the floor. You're going to hear that once Sakina realized that Kayla was not moving, she panicked. She was afraid to call the police. Why would they believe her? She panicked. She did not go there for this. She went there to have a woman to woman conversation about where their relationship stood and whether she could move forward with Terry or whether she was going to have to do this by herself. And now here we are. So she panicked, and you are going to hear and you are going to see pictures and you are going to see evidence that she cleaned up, and she attempted to clean up. And I say this in quotations because you are going to see for yourself that she did not do a very good job at it because she panicked. You're going to see now you're going to hear that, and you're going to see video that she did change clothes, right? She changed her hat. She changed her shoes. She changed her sweater, her jacket. And why did she do this? She changed it because her clothing was all slashed and bloody from being attacked by Kayla. You're all go I'm sorry. You're you're also going to hear how she went back to the hotel. She canceled her work appointment, which was supposed to be the following Wednesday, because she was hurt. She also panicked and she waited for her flight back the next day and she went home to New York. Now, members of the jury, throughout this trial, you're going to hear from witnesses that are going to take the stand. And we just ask that you pay close attention to their testimony and weigh their credibility. At the end of the trial, the evidence will point to one thing. Sakina Thompson was justified in her actions, and for that reason, you should return the only verdict that is fair, the only verdict that is just, the only verdict that the law truly allows, not guilty. Can you believe? I'm sorry. I just have to break for a second. Like, can you believe her lawyer said all that? And the thing is that Kayla can't defend her. I mean, Kayla doesn't have an opportunity to give her side of the story. All we know is that sis had a gash on her face, damn 2.5 inches long and over an inch deep into her face. Does your cheek even go with an inch of, I don't even know if there's an inch of cheek meat in your cheek. She damn near slashed all the way into and through her mouth. Not her mouth, but in her cheek. That's crazy, right? This is, they tried it. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to break in with my opinion on here. Her lawyer tried it. She did. Baby. Kayla wasn't there to say, yeah, sure, take my jeans. Yeah, go ahead, take my jeans, take my jacket, help yourself. So yeah, I would consider that stealing. Okay. Yeah. That's crazy, right? Okay, let's keep going. Woo. Okay. The court says, okay, thank you very much. Are you ready with the first witness? Ms. Johnson says, yes. Please call your first witness. The state calls Amy Houston. Witness enters the courtroom. Please raise your hand. Do you swear to or affirm your testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? The witness says, I do. Please be seated. Please state your name and spell the last Amy Houston, H-U-S, or Huston. I'm thinking it's Houston. The clerk, thank you. Your witness, thank you, thank you. Officer Amy Houston, having been first duly sworn was examined and testified as to the following. This is the direct examination by Ms. Johnson. It's obvious that you're in law enforcement. Please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where it is that you are employed. I work for Broward Sheriff's Office in the Tamarack District. In what capacity are you employed? I'm currently a school resource deputy at Challenger Elementary. How long have you been employed at Broward Sheriff's Department? I'm going on 4 years in January. And during those 4 years, can you take us through the units that you've worked in? Prior to Challenger Elementary, I was a patrol deputy also in Tamarack. Going back to July 13th, 2022, were you a patrol deputy in the city of Tamarack? Yes, ma'am. And what are your general duties of a patrol deputy when you're assigned to a certain area? You patrol that area. You could do community type policing in between handling calls. So if you're dispatched to something, then you would proceed to that address and investigate the situation. On July 13th, you were dispatched to respond to 9322 Northwest 57th Street in Tamarack, Florida. Yes, ma'am. Are you familiar with the area? Yes, ma'am. And were you familiar with that area from that being your district? Yes. What's at that address? It's an apartment complex called Tamarack Village. Tell the jurors what happened when you arrived. I was dispatched. It came out as a medical call for a female that was passed out. As I arrived with the fire and rescue, there was a black male that was flagging us down. He was waving his hands, so to I went to that direction. So he was waving his hands to wave you over? Yes. Okay. This individual, hold on one second. This individual, can you describe what this individual's demeanor was? The black male? Yes, he was emotional. He was talking fast. You could tell he was scared or upset. He was definitely had an emotional demeanor. I had to even slow him down because he was talking fast. Based on what he told you, what did you do? From the notes that from the notes that came out as I was on route, and from what he said that his friend was in a objection hearsay by Miss Ross, objection hearsay by Miss Ross, question. Just tell me what you did based on what he said. The court said sustained. We went upstairs with fire and rescue. I went first because of what he said, and we went to the apartment where he told us, which was unit, I guess, blank, blank, blank. Miss Johnson. All right. And when you say that you went first based on what he said, what was the purpose of that? He said there was, okay, don't tell. What was the purpose? You were doing it for safety reasons? Oh, yes, it was for safety purposes because fire and rescue does not have anything to protect themselves. So I went ahead of them. When you went ahead, did this black male, did you identify him by name? Yes. And what was his name? I don't know how to pronounce it, but Ravelto Robinson. And did he direct you to where the victim's apartment was? Yes. When you went up to the apartment with fire and rescue, was the door, did someone open the door? I opened it. And what did you observe? When I opened the door, I saw a black female laying on the ground, not moving, and there appeared to be what looked like dry blood all over, between and on the floor, between her area, the door, and the kitchen area. Did you allow fire rescue to look inside the apartment? Yes. I did not go into the apartment. Fire and rescue did not go into the apartment. Fire rescue leaned in over me, and it was apparent that she was deceased. All right. And did they confirm that? Yes. Once it was confirmed that the black female that was in the blood was deceased, what did you do next? I closed the door and I asked for more units because the place needed to be searched to make sure that there were no threats in the unit. And I just stood by and for responding units. Can you explain to the jurors why it is that you didn't do a search yourself? By practice, we do not search if there appears to be a possible crime or some sort of danger. We wait for other units to search the property. Were you equipped with body-worn camera on that day? Yes. Miss Johnson, may I approach, Your Honor? The court says yes. And Deputy Houston, I'm showing you what the state has marked as A for identification purposes. I've already shown it to the defense counsel. Have you had the opportunity to review your body-worn camera from that day? Yes. And is this in fact Exhibit A, the body-worn camera that you were wearing? Yes. Miss Johnson, all right. At this time, the state would enter A as evidence. No objection. Miss Ross, no objection. It will come in as states number 1. Permission to publish. The court says, yes, you may. And they start playing a video. Now, I'm just not sure which video they played. I do have some body worn camera footage, but I mean, I don't want to play the wrong thing. So, I'm not sure what's what because a lot of what I have is like Axiom, you know, 10 digits. So it doesn't all necessarily say exhibit this, exhibit that. So I'm not gonna do that. So they play video playing without audio. The bailiff says, Your Honor, video pause. The court says, yes, bailiff. I don't know if the jurors can see. Okay, if you can't, you know what? Come on and sit over here. I can move the TVs a little bit. If you can, that's fine. We're pretty antiquated over here. Now, can you see? Perfect. Jury panel responds. Defense. Yeah, defendant can see. Can defendant see? I can see. Yes. Court. Okay. And then counsel. Is this okay? Can see? Yes. Multiple speakers. Yes. The court. Okay. And the witness can see on the screen in front of her. I can see on the screen in front of me. All the jurors can see now. The court. Perfect. Thank you guys. I'll start it over. The video is playing. Then the video is paused. The black male that you testified about earlier is the individual in the white shirt and the blue and black shorts. Yes, video paused. So I did publish, if you go to my Sakina Thompson playlist, there is a video of Ravelto talking to a male cop. So I'm not sure. I'm assuming that that is not this video, but if you want to know who Ravelto Robinson is, then it's in the playlist. Okay. And then there's there's the detective interviews with him also. Deputy, I see some numbers on the top of the screen, and where you see 022-07-13. What does that reflect? The date of July 13th, 2022? Yes, ma'am. Where you see 15:05:36, does that reflect in military time? Yes, ma'am. And what time is that? 3:05 p.m. Miss Johnson, thank you, ma'am. I don't have any further questions. The court, any questions for this witness? Miss Gilbert, briefly, Judge. Sure. And this is the cross-examination. Good morning. Good morning. So it's safe to say that you were one of the first officers that arrived on the scene, correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. When you arrived, you say that there's a black male waving you down, correct? As we see on the cameras, correct? Yes. Okay. Did you observe any blood on this male? Not initially, but as we were talking, heading up, yes, I saw some dried blood on his hands. On his hands, not on his clothing, correct? I don't believe so. Okay. And then as we see, you open the front door and you observe the female laying on her back with blood around her, correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Fire and rescue leaned in the doorway, correct? Yes. And they didn't go inside, correct? No, ma'am. Because at that point, you're trying to also protect the integrity of the crime scene, correct? Yes. Okay, so at this point, you close the door and you wait for backup to arrive, correct? Yes. And you're made aware that there's a bloody footprint outside the apartment, correct? Yes, I saw that as I was walking. Okay. And you asked Ravelto Robinson to stop moving around, correct? I don't believe I specifically told him to stop moving around, but we did tell him he needed to stay in that area. Okay. And you also kept a log of who came in and out to ensure that whomever did was documented by name, correct? Yes, I did. Okay. And again, that's to maintain the integrity of the crime scene, correct? Yes. Okay. Miss Gilbert, a moment to confer, Your Honor. Sure. Nothing further. Okay. Any questions? Miss Johnson, no, Your Honor. Okay. Thank you very much. The witness, thank you. The court, next witness. State calls Matthew Herbert. The court, please stand. Do you swear? So they swear in the witness. The clerk tells them to have a seat. My first name is Matthew, last name Herbert. The clerk says, thank you, your witness. And this is Sergeant Matthew Herbert, and this is the direct. Mr. Herbert, where are you employed? I'm currently employed at Broward Sheriff's Department. In what capacity? I'm sergeant. How long have you been employed with the Broward Sheriff's Office? Tomorrow will be 18 years. Congratulations. Thank you. Can you take the jurors through all of the units that you have worked in? So I started in road patrol. From there, I went to Pompano Beach. After being assigned Pompano Beach Road Patrol, I then went to Civil Division, worked in the Civil Division and transferred over to Cooper City District, worked road patrol there. I was promoted, went to Tamarack. I was in Tamarack for about 4 or 5 years, and now I'm sergeant in our Internal Affairs Division. I want to take you back to July 13th, 2022. Were you a sergeant at that time? Yes, I was. Were you assigned to be a sergeant in any of the particular district inside Tamarack? Can you describe what the duties are of a district sergeant? So I was assigned to road patrol in Tamarack. Basically, I oversaw the shift of the deputies anywhere from 10 to 12. We monitor their performance, respond to calls for service, respond to any sort of calls for service that require a specialized component, read and review reports, approve. Objection, object to bolstering, overruled. You can answer, read and review reports, approve leave slips, and just monitor the performance of the shift of the deputies that are assigned to me. Now, bringing you back to that day, were you called out to respond to West Commercial Boulevard in reference to an unresponsive female in a pool of blood? Yes, I am. And did you, in fact, respond? I did. Are you familiar with that address? Yes, somewhat. Who did you encounter when you arrived? So when I arrived, I believe the initial call was a medical call. However, I remember there being a lot of traffic on the radio. So I responded to the scene. There were several deputies that were on scene prior to my arrival. And I want to say, I don't remember the exact day, the exact first deputy that I encountered, but there was quite a few deputies. Deputy Houston was on the scene. Deputy Lavallo was also on the scene, and I believe Deputy Amaris, who was part of the crime suppression team, was also on the scene. And don't tell me what they told you, but were you given a briefing as to what you were dealing with at the particular scene? I don't remember having an extensive briefing. Just there was a lot of, I would describe it as chaotic. Okay, based on what you observed, based on what you heard, what did you do? So I remember asking, did we clear the residence? Nobody had cleared the residence at that point, the apartment. So myself and Sergeant Edlund made entry into the apartment. What does that mean, clear a residence? Basically, we perform what's known as a protective sweep. We entered the residence to make sure that there's no offender on the scene, that there's no additional victims or anybody in distress. So we did that and then immediately exited. What were your observations when you did this protective sweep? When we entered in, I immediately noticed a large amount of blood on the floor, some blood on the walls as well. There was a female that was deceased on the ground, laying on her back, and we proceeded to clear the apartment. At some point, did you put any protective gear on? I did. I put on a pair of gloves in order to protect myself. Obviously, there was a large amount of blood, and seeing that this was going to require specialized assistance from the crime scene unit and homicide division, I didn't want to potentially tamper the he said potentially tamper the evidence or to cause any issues with evidence inside the apartment. Aside from the victim that was in the pool of blood, did you locate anything else in the apartment that was living or breathing? So there was a dog that had been confined to one of the bedrooms. I want to say it was a small Maltese dog with white fur. Did you do anything with the dog? Once we secured the apartment, I didn't want the dog to get out and get into the blood and other evidence that may or may not have been inside the apartment. So we secured the dog in the same room that we had located in. We performed this protective sweep with Sergeant Edlund as well. Correct. All right. Did you advise homicide units and crime scene that you and Sergeant Edlin had walked around the apartment? Yes. So after I exited, I made a call to our communications division, let them know that we were going to need specialized resources to respond, such as homicide unit and crime scene. And when they got here, I briefed our crime scene supervisor. I believe I let them know exactly what I had done inside. Based on the fact that you and Sergeant Edlin had walked around the crime scene, what was done particularly with your footwear? So they took imprints and casts of our shoes. I'm not familiar with the exact process, but I had to basically sit there and they kind of dusted my shoes, put them on some paper, and that was it. And were you equipped with body worn camera? Yes. And was your body worn camera activated at the time? Yes, it was. During which time? During the time where you did the protective sweep? Yes. All right. May I approach your honor? Yes, you may. Ms. Johnson. Sergeant Hubert, I'm showing you what is marked as B for identification purposes. I've already shown the defense counsel. Have you had an opportunity to review the body worn camera from your protective sweep? Yes. And is States Exhibit B a fair and accurate depiction of the body worn camera and protective sweep? Yes. At this time, the state would enter B into evidence. Any objection? No objection. It will come in as number 2. Permission to publish? Yes, you may. The numbers that we see, so the numbers that we see on top of the body worn camera is 022 713. Does that reflect the date? Yes, ma'am. 15 17 11. Does that reflect the time in military time? Yes. I don't have any further questions. Any questions for the witness? Ms. Gilbert? Yes, briefly, Judge. So Ms. Gilbert says, good morning. You arrived to the scene as like a road patrol supervisor at the time, correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. And as we know, you went inside of the apartment with Sergeant Edlin. You said that's correct. You were behind him, correct? Yes. At the time, you didn't have any gloves, no protective gear on, correct? When we entered, no. Okay. You didn't have on any shoe coverings. You didn't have any shoe coverings on when you entered, correct? No, ma'am. Okay. Then you walked inside and you see an unresponsive female laying on the ground, correct? Uh-huh. You see blood all over the floor, correct? Okay. And at the time, still no protective gear, no feet coverings, no covering, nothing of that sort, correct? No, I don't carry shoe coverings. Okay. So you just continue to walk through, as we saw, walk through the apartment, kind of stand behind the kitchen island, correct? Yes. Okay. And then after while we see that after Sergeant Edlin clears the one of the bedrooms, you go in like the living room area, correct? Correct. Okay. And at that point, that's when you put on gloves, correct? Correct. Okay. So you had that on. So that you had that on you, correct? I did. Okay. And that was because of the amount of blood that was on the scene and to maintain the integrity of the crime scene, correct? Correct. I know we were going to have to clear the other portions of the apartment, and as you can see in my video, I kind of had to brace the wall. Got you. I put the gloves on to try to minimize my touching the scene. Correct. Minimize contamination. Correct. Okay, and then you go towards the side where another door is door is closed. You believe that there's an animal in there, correct? Correct. Okay. You walk the hallway, correct? Correct. And you first go into the side bathroom, correct? Uh-huh. Okay. And then you open the bedroom door, correct? Yes, ma'am. And then you first go into the closet that's on the side, correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Then you go inside the bedroom with Sergeant Edlin, correct? Already inside? Yes. Yes, it's true because it's connected to the closet, and you go inside with Sergeant Edlin and you continue to look around the bedroom, look under the bed and stuff, correct? Correct. Okay. Then at that point, the dog is somewhere in the bedroom and near the bedroom, correct? Yes. And your back is kind of towards the dog because you're making sure there's nobody else in the bedroom, correct? Yes. Okay, and you clear that area, you go back to the living room, the kitchen, correct? Yes. Okay. And at this point you leave the apartment, correct? Yes. And as you testified in direct, at this point you only had gloves on, correct? That's correct. No foot coverings, nothing of that sort. You then get your footwear impressions done by the crime scene detective Clintron Williams, correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. And that you had no other involvement in the case after that, just making notifications in that, at least at that point, yes. Miss Gilbert, may I have a moment to confer? Yes. And just briefly, Sergeant, I know you stated that you did not have any footwear or foot coverings on. Neither did Sergeant Edlin at the time, correct? Correct. Okay. And fire and rescue was still there at the time, correct? Yes, they were. And neither one of you went outside and asked them if they put anything to any foot coverings or anything of that sort, correct? No, we did not. Okay. No further questions. Okay. Any other questions? Briefly, Judge? Sure. Council just went over you not having foot coverings on, you not putting gloves initially when you went in. And would you agree that maintaining the integrity of the crime scene is important? Is that correct? It is. At that time, what was the main importance of your role? We were making sure that there wasn't an offender in the apartment or an additional victim. Safety? Yes. I don't have any further questions. Okay, thank you. You're free to go. Witness, thank you. The state ready for your next witness. Miss Lapella, yes. Okay, call your next witness, and it's Janelle Ying. They swear in Miss Janelle. Let me take a sip of water. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. Yes, all of this over a dusty. Isn't this terrible? Okay. All right. I don't know who Janelle Ying is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I guess we're getting ready to find out. Good afternoon. Oh, okay. All right. So this is Janelle Ying, guys. What do you do for work? I'm a warehouse associate. And do you live in Broward County? Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do. What city do you live in? Sunrise. Taking you back to July 13th into the early morning hours of July 13th, were you living in the same place that you live now? No, I was not. Where were you living at the time? Tamarack Village Apartments. Do you recall your address at Tamarack Village Apartments? Yes, I do. What was that address? 9351. Is that Broward County, state of Florida? Yes, it is. Who were you living with at the time? My partner and my child. And when you were living at Tamarack Village Apartments, did you have a Ring doorbell camera? Yes, I did. Was the Ring doorbell camera operable between the 12th and 13th of July 2022? Yes, it was. Now, fast forward to July 15th. Did you ever come in contact with law enforcement as to that surveillance footage from your Ring camera? Yes. Were you able to access the surveillance footage? July 12th to the 13th? Yes. How were you able to do that? Ring camera has an app on my phone, so I can see the videos from there. And so in the app, you were able to see the footage history from the 12th and the 13th. Yes, I was able to. In seeing the footage, what did you do with it? I emailed it to the officer. Now, did you have a chance to look at the clips that you emailed to the officer? Yes, I did. Showing the defense what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit C for identification purposes. Permission to approach the witness, Judge. Yes, you may. And Miss Ying, I showed you what's been pre-marked as States C for identification. Do you recognize State C? Yes, I do. How do you recognize it? I initialed it. And did you also date it? Yes, with today's date. Did you have the opportunity to review the State C prior to testifying before the jury today? Yes, I did. And what's going on in State C? Does it fairly and accurately depict the videos that you gave to law enforcement back on July 2022? Yes, it does. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence what's pre-marked as States C, Exhibit States 3. Any objection? No, Judge. It will come in as States number 3. Ms. Lapella, permission to publish? Yes, you may. Now, Miss Ying, the screen in front of you should illuminate the footage. What was track 1? Now publishing track 2 of States 3. Now publishing track 3, now publishing track 4. Miss Ying is reviewing the footage. Did you know the person that was depicted in the footage? No, I don't. What building number did you live in at Tamarack Village Apartment? Building 7. What building was next to building 7? 5. Building 5. Showing defense what has been pre-marked as States D, it's a composite of 2. Permission to approach the court? Yes, you may. Miss Ying, I showed you what's been pre-marked as States D composite of 2 photos. Can you please look at these? Do you recognize these photos? Yes, I do. And do these photos fairly and accurately depict the Tamarack Village Apartments as they were back in July of 2022? Let me see. Do I have a picture of Tamarack Village Apartments? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, the state moves into evidence what has been pre-marked as States D, a composite of 2. Any objection? No, Judge. May I publish, Judge? Yes. Miss Ying, the screen in front of you should have a photo. This is the first in the composite. Are you able to see that? Yes, I am. Okay. Where is building 7 in the photograph? To the left. Now, sometimes the screen works and you're able to mark it. Are you able to point on the screen for us? Can you see me pointing? Male speaker, just tap it. Oh, tap it. Okay. Okay. So that's your building right there. Yes, that's building 7. Did you ever see police activity after the 13th at Tamarack Village? Yes, I believe for at least the rest of the week. Okay, and where was the police activity? What building was the police activity happening? The building beside me, which is this building here. Okay. And are you able to see from your building 7 into this building what you just pointed out? Yes. What building is that? Is it to the right? What building number? If you know, building 5. I'm showing the second photo in this composite. You were able to see from your building into building 5. In building 7, I was at the end. If you're looking at this picture, I'm on the right side, but I'm at the end of the building. So I'm at the end of the building. There's a staircase at the end of the building, and at the ledge, you can see here, you can look over and see the other building. Okay, so you were not in building 5, correct? Correct. And did you know Kayla Hodgson at all? No, I did not. Just one moment to confer. Nothing further. Okay, any questions for this witness? Miss Gilbert says no questions. Okay, thank you, ma'am. The court, can I get the parties up real quick? You guys want to go to lunch now? You want to call another witness? What do you want to do? I want to call a witness. It was fast. It's as fast as this one, if not faster. It's the same idea. And then we'll break for lunch. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So with that, state's next witness. State calls Venus Byron. Raise your hand. I'm just going to skip that part. They swear the witness in. This is the direct. Good afternoon. What do you do for work? I'm a nurse. How long have you been a nurse? 9 years. Where are you a nurse? University of Miami. Do you currently live in Broward? Yes. Where? What city? Pembroke Pines. Back on July 12th of 2022 into July 13th of 2022, did you live at a complex called Tamarack Village? Yes. Were you living in an apartment blankety blank in building 5 on that date? Yes. And back on July 22nd, did you own a doorbell camera? Yes. And was the doorbell camera operable during the time on July 12th and July 13th? Yes. Back in July 2022, did you come in contact with law enforcement regarding the surveillance from the door camera? Yes. Were you able to access the door camera footage in any way? Yes. How were you able to access it? Through the app. There's an app in your phone? Yes. And were you able to see the surveillance footage from the date I mentioned? Yes. Did you give the surveillance to law enforcement? Yes. And I'm showing defense counsel the pre-marked states E. Okay, Judge, may I approach? Yes. Miss Byron, I'm showing you states E. Do you recognize it? How do you recognize this? With my signature and date. Did you have a chance to review it? Yes. And do the videos accurately and fairly depict the videos that you gave to law enforcement? She says yes. They enter it into states 5. They're asking, can we publish? The judge says yes. Okay. Miss Byron, that screen in front of you should illuminate with the videos for a second. I'm playing. So track 1, track 2. In reviewing those clips on the states 5, ma'am, did you know anyone depicted in them in the clips? Sorry. Did you know any of the people that were on those clips that were reviewed? No. Did you know Kayla Hodgson? No. Just a moment. Nothing further, Judge. Okay. Any questions for this witness? No questions. Thank you very much, ma'am. So I'm sure these were ring videos. So probably we would see Sakina on there, but they don't know her. Okay. All right. So they're going to say they're going to lunch. I'm sorry. It's 10 after 12, so we'll see you back at 1:30. With that, put your notepads in your seat, blah, blah, blah. If we happen to see you in the hallways, it's not that we don't want to say hello to you or outside on the streets. We just want to not have any inappropriate conversations with you. So I've instructed everybody to not talk to you, the jury. Okay. And we're good to go. Okay. All right, and we're good to go. We'll see you at 1:30. Thereupon the jury exits the courtroom. The court, okay. We're in recess. Judge, we're ready almost. No, I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready. Bailiff, jurors are entering. Okay. I feel like my necklace has been jingling the whole time I've been reading. Just 1 second, guys. And I can hear it in my microphone and it's bothering me. Just 1 second, guys. Okay. I know you can hear it now, but I don't know. It's doing something. It keeps moving. Okay, let's go. Where's my water? Oh, there wasn't anything for lunch. We're here. I think they're getting ready to call Ravelto. Okay. What time is it? I have to watch the time. Okay. Let's see. Miss Johnson, Your Honor, defense ready to proceed. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Miss Johnson, next witness. The state calls Ravelto Robinson. Clerk, raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, we're going to skip that part. We know the cadence of what they ask the witnesses to say. All right, this is the direct examination of Mr. Robinson. Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson is the person who found Kayla. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson. Good afternoon. There's the mic that's in front of you. You can just speak into the mic and talk a little bit louder. Okay. Where are you employed? Currently at my father's business, Robinson Repair. Do you know a person or did you know a person by the name of Kayla Hodgson? Yes. How was it that you knew her? We were involved in a romantic relationship. Prior to her homicide, how long had you been knowing her? Going on 3 years. I want to bring to your attention on July 13th, 2022, okay? The day before that, July 13th, did you see Kayla? Yes. Can you describe for the jurors the circumstances around how it is that you saw Kayla that day? I was flying in from New York. I drove to her apartment. When you drove to her apartment, did she answer the door? Yes. Describe for the jurors what she was wearing and when she answered the door. Her robe. This robe that she was wearing, had you seen this robe before? Yes. And was it unusual for her to answer the door in her robe? Was it unusual? Was it usual for her to answer the door in her robe? Yes. And had she answered the door for you previously through the course of knowing her in her robe? Yes. Particularly in the same robe? Yes. While you were romantically involved with Kayla, did you also have a girlfriend in New York? Yes. When you first met Kayla and you began to become romantically involved with her, were you upfront with her about you having a girlfriend in New York? No. When you went to Kayla's apartment that day, what was she doing? She was getting ready for work. And what did Kayla do for work? She was a waitress and bottle girl. How long would you say that you spent with Kayla that particular day? About 20, 30 minutes. After you left Kayla's apartment, when was the next time you tried to get in contact with Kayla? The following morning. Approximately what time did you start the first attempt to get in contact with her around 9:10. And what would be on 9:10 a.m. morning of, and that would be 9:10 a.m. the morning of July 13th? Correct. And how were you trying to contact her? By phone. Called her. Was she answering? No. And she didn't answer the phone. What did you do to try to get in contact with her? I text her. Did you receive a text back? No. Was this still around 9:10 a.m. in the morning? Yes. After she did not answer your phone call, after she didn't answer your text, did you do anything else to try to get in contact with her? Not by phone, no. What did you do? I drove to her apartment. I drove to, they say our apartment. Same apartment that you saw her in the day before? Yes. The night before? Yes. And what did you do when you got there? I knocked on the door. Did you receive an answer? No. What was going through your mind at the time? It was strange because she didn't answer the door and I didn't see her car initially. Okay. And at some point, when she didn't answer the door, did you leave the apartment? Yes. Did you ever return to the apartment? Yes. And why was it that you returned to the apartment? Because it was just unnatural for her to not answer the phone. And it started getting later in the day. And now she usually would have contacted or reached back out to me. Did you continue to try to reach out by phone or text to her? Yes. And approximately, did you return about 3 p.m.? Yes. In the afternoon? Yes. When I returned back to the apartment complex at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, when you returned back to the apartment complex at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, did you eventually see her car, where her car was parked? Yes, because I drove into the community. When you said that you didn't see her car in the parking lot initially, did you know Kayla was parking in a particular parking space? Yes. When you went back and you saw her car, was that her vehicle parked in her usual spot? No. And so what did you do when you returned back to the apartment complex? I parked by her car and went back upstairs. When you got to the door, what did you do? I knocked on the door. Did you hear anything from inside of the apartment at all? Yes. And what did you hear? Her dog barking. Did you take note of anything unusual about the sound of her dog barking? Yes. And what was that? It sounded muffled, like the dog was locked away. And why was that unusual to you? Because if she's home, her dog is always free and running around. He's always the first one to greet you at the door. He's always the first one to greet you at the door. Yes. At that point, did you decide to take it a step further than just knocking? Yes. And what did you do? I turned the doorknob and opened the door. And was the door unlocked? Yes. Tell the jurors what you saw when you opened the door. Kayla was laying in a pool of blood on the left side of the island. What did you do? Initially, I was taken aback from it, and I stepped outside of the door and let it close. And then I turned away to leave, and then I just couldn't leave her like that. So I went back inside. Why did you do that? Just as sheer shock of seeing it. When you went back inside, did you call 911? Yes. And then you were on the phone with 911 before that. As it appeared to you, were there any signs of life for Kayla? No. You called 911, and did 911 instruct you to attempt life-saving measures? Yes. If you don't think there were any signs of life, what did you do? Why did you do that? I just wanted to cooperate with what they were saying, telling what they were telling me to do. And did you do what they told you to do? Yes. And that involved walking into the apartment? Yes. And when you walked into the apartment and you followed the EMS's instructions, can you take us through where you went specifically? I walked to the left side of the island where her body was. I placed my phone on top of the island and on speaker. Then I knelt down by her legs and proceeded to perform CPR. And then you were on the left side of the island. You were positioned between her body and the island. Yes. At some point, did you go downstairs to direct EMS? Yes. Did you stay on the scene? Yes. Did you cooperate with law enforcement? Yes. And did you cooperate? Did that cooperation involve you being photographed? Yes. Did you have to provide your clothing to law enforcement? Yes. And did you do that? Yes. Had you known Kayla having any problems with anyone? She used to get prank calls. All right. And did you know who those prank calls were coming from? No. Were you present for any of the prank calls? Yes. Miss Johnson, may I approach, Your Honor? Yes, you may. I'm showing you what the state has marked as F for identification purposes, a copy of the 911 call. You've had the opportunity to review, correct? Yes. And is that 911 call you made that day? At this time, the state would enter F. Okay, so we'll just skip on down. 911 operator, what is the address of the emergency? Ma'am, I don't know the address. I just came. Okay, what is the apartment number? What do you know if it was the building number? I can go downstairs and check. 1 second, please. Stay on the phone with me. What's your phone number? Hold on, ma'am. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. 1 second, ma'am. What's your name? 1 second, ma'am. I'm okay. I'm running outside to the building. Thank you. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. I'm right here now creating a general. Okay. I'm right now creating a general call for the area where your phone is showing up. All right. Stay on the phone with me. We have the call and I'm already, and that's for fire and rescue. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. All right. Continue upstairs. Continue to stay on the line with me. Yes. How old is she? Continue to stay on the line with me. Then there was an inaudible. Like I said, I'm sending the paramedics to help you. Stay on the line. Yes, I am. I am. Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. Where am I supposed to get that from? The office? No. From near, is there an AED machine there? Where? In the house. Should I look for it? In the apartment. Is there one? I don't know. Okay. No. Don't know. That's okay. Don't know. That's okay. Don't live here. Just listen carefully. Are you right by her now? Yes. Fire and rescue. They're coming. 1 second, ma'am. Yes. As fast as they can. I see paramedics. Can I run down? Can I run down and get the paramedics? No, but you could go. No, but you could go. And then they said it's indiscernible or something like that. No, but I could go outside and direct them. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Hold on, ma'am. I'm walking them now. Hold on. Okay. Sir, yo, here. Oh my fucking God. Do you see this? Do you see the police? No. Yes, the police is with the paramedics as well. Okay. You're probably just communicating before they go up. Okay. Yeah, you're right there. Okay. Yeah, this building. Yeah, this building, this way here. Are you with them now? Hello? Yeah. Are you with them? Yeah, I'm with them now. Here, here, here. Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and hang up. You can talk to them. All right. Thank you. Operator says you're welcome. And publishing states 5, Mr. Robinson, you had the opportunity to review the ring camera footage. Okay. For a second, playing clip 1. The person that we just saw walk by, who was that? That was me. The time was reflected on the 12th at 1900 hours, which is 7 p.m. Does that sound correct as to when you last visited Kayla? Yes. The person that we just saw walk by, who was that? Kayla. Okay. And the person that we just saw walk by again, who was that? That was Kayla. Miss Johnson, thank you, sir. I don't have any further questions. Any questions for the witness, Your Honor? Cross-examination, Ms. Ross. Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Can you speak into the microphone a little bit? We are having a hard time hearing you over there. All right. So you first met Kayla at a party through a mutual friend. Is that correct? Yes. Can you speak up a little bit? Yes. Yes. Thank you. And this mutual friend is Janisa Tate. Yes, correct. And Janisa is Kayla's best friend, right? Yes. All right. And this was around 2021, correct? Okay. And you pretty much saw Kayla consistently in a dating sense since 2021 when you met her, right? Yes. All right. Now, when you met Kayla in 2021, you had a girlfriend at the time, correct? And her name is, I'm just going to say Nadia. Okay. Correct. You were with Nadia long distance until the time of the incident in July of 2022. Correct? Yes. And Nadia, your girlfriend, lived in New York and Brooklyn. Correct. And you lived in South Florida. Correct. So I guess it's safe to assume Nadia broke up with him. Okay. Um, as she should. And you lived in South Florida, correct? But you two had a long distance relationship for about a year and a half. No, longer than that. Longer than that. Longer than that? Yes. Okay. When you first met, excuse me. When you first met Kayla back in 2021, she told you that she had a boyfriend, right? Correct. And in fact, she was living with her boyfriend and her mother at the time that you met her, correct? In fact, wait, okay, let me get this straight. Okay. And when you first met Kayla back in 2021, she told you she had a boyfriend, right? Correct. In fact, she was living with her boyfriend and her mother at the time that you met her, correct? And they later broke up, correct? And you just testified that you didn't tell Kayla that you had a girlfriend, correct? Initially, no. Initially, because a week or two before meeting Kayla, you told her about your girlfriend, Nadia. Okay, initially, because a week or two before meeting Kayla, you told her about your girlfriend, Nadia Shepherd, correct? And Kayla continued seeing you, correct? Or seeing you, right? And he says, correct. All right. Now, Kayla used to go up to New York on a consistent basis. No, she would go to New York, though, frequently. No, I wouldn't say frequently, but to work. Yes. To work. Right. Yes. More than once? Yes. More than twice when you were together? Yes. Okay. And you said she would go to work. She did bottle service and bartending, right? Correct. Now, when Kayla was in New York, you never hung out with her? No. Because when you would go to New York and see your girlfriend, Nadia, correct? Nadia, right? And he says, correct. All right. So you may not have known all of the times that Kayla went to New York, correct? I could say, yeah, it's possible. Okay. Now, your girlfriend, Nadia, she suspected that you were seeing someone else, right? Yes. In fact, you caught Nadia going through your phone, correct? Or Nadia before, correct? Nadia. In fact, you caught Nadia going through your phone before. And he says, correct. Okay. And Nadia was jealous that you might have been seeing someone else. Was she jealous I might have been seeing someone else? Not. Yes. Any more jealous than you would be if you saw your spouse dealing with someone else? So jealous, right? Okay. The same as anybody would be if their long-term partner was cheating on them, right? Correct. Okay. Now you told the state you just testified that Kayla had been getting some prank calls. Correct. All right. And you also testified that you were present for one of them, right? Correct. Now you spoke to detectives after you called the police on July 13th, right? Correct. And when you spoke to the detectives, you told them that Kayla had told you about some prank calls, but never got into details of them, right? Correct. And in fact, you never told the detectives that you were present for any of the calls. I didn't. I don't remember. Okay. Would looking at your statement that you gave to the police refresh your recollection? Okay. May I approach, Your Honor? Sure. All right. You can go ahead and just refer to the top or read the whole page and let us know when you're done. I'm done. Did that refresh your memory? Yes. Okay. So you never told the police that you were present for any of these calls? No. Okay. So let's talk about July 13th, 2022. Now, that morning, were you in New York? Uh-huh. Is that yes? Yes. So sorry, we just can't take down unless it's a verbal answer. Yes. Okay. And that morning in New York, you saw your girlfriend, Nadia Shepherd, correct? All right. Then, and then he says, correct. All right. Then you flew down. And when you landed, you went straight to Kayla's apartment, correct? Correct. Okay. Now, this building that she lived in, it's a complex of buildings, correct? And Kayla lives in building 5 with her mother, correct? Correct. And building 5, is that next to and connects to building 7, correct? Correct. Not connect. No. Okay. But you can walk down and then take a little walkway to building 7, correct? To building 7. And he says, correct. Okay. You can actually see into building 7 and 5 from the other building, correct? Okay. And when you parked your car and you could just walk right through the building, correct? And he says, correct. In other words, no one needed to buzz you up. There wasn't a locked lobby gate and you just walked in. It's unlocked. Correct. Okay. And so you spent some time with Kayla that evening. Correct. And when she went to work and then she went to work and you left. I left before. Okay. You left but you knew she was going to work. Correct. Okay. And she worked and then she worked down here. She also worked at doing bottle service. Correct. At nightclubs. Correct. Okay. So now you testified that the following morning you went to see Kayla, right? Correct. And you actually called her multiple times that morning and she wasn't picking up. Correct. And you were texting her and she wasn't responding. Correct. And then you went to her apartment building to go look for her and you said you didn't see her car. in its spot. Correct. Okay. Now, when you say in its spot, the residents, did they have assigned parking? Correct. He says correct. In fact, the spot you're referring to, is it a handicap spot? Right? He says correct. Now, Kayla had a disability sticker, but she did not suffer from a disability, right? Correct. Okay. She usually took a handicap space, but that morning you didn't see her car there. And he says correct. And in fact, you realize now and later that if she's getting home from work late, that spot was probably just taken. So she parked in a different spot. Correct. Okay. So when she was responding to you, so when she was not responding to you, you didn't see her car. Uh huh. You thought she might have been cheating on you. Did I think she might have been cheating on me? You thought she may have been with another man. No, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, it crossed my mind. It crossed your mind? Yes. And in fact, when you went back and saw her car, uh-huh, you were upset. You were kind of pissed off, right? I didn't say pissed off, but now I knew that she was home. Right. So I didn't understand why she didn't answer the first time. Right. And in fact, you were upset that you deleted her text messages that you had been sending to her that morning. I deleted everything, her phone number as well. You deleted everything from her, right? Yes. And in fact, the police were asking to see your messages. Uh-huh. And that you'd been texting her that morning, but you told them you deleted everything, correct? You deleted everything. And he says, correct. So you were upset then? Yes, correct. You were, because you thought she might be sleeping around on you. I didn't say that. Okay, well, then why were you angry enough to delete the messages? Because I didn't see her. I didn't see her car when I first got there. So obviously I assumed that she was awake and moving around. So off of that alone, I was upset because I just assumed that you were awake. You see me calling and texting and she didn't respond. And that caused you to delete her contact information and all the text messages? Correct. Okay. And you did not know at the time that Kayla was also seeing other guys besides you? No, not at the time, no. Okay. And you were very honest with Kayla about being in a relationship with Nadia, right? Correct. And Kayla never told you that she was seeing Terry Thermogen or other men. Correct. Okay. All right. So the second time when you went back, you see her car in a different spot, not the handicap spot, right? Correct. And at the moment, you're saying, well, now this girl is just ignoring me, right? She's home and she's just ignoring me. I'm sorry, guys. I had to take a sip of water. No, I thought she was, and fast asleep. Okay. So you go back to her house and you walk in. No, you knocked first. Correct. Okay. Now you just said the dog that she has, it's a little white dog, correct? A little white dog. And he says correct. Okay. And you said that when she's home with the dog is usually out and will greet you at the door. Correct. Okay. All right. And when you saw Kayla when you first walked in, she was in her robe that you said that she normally is in when she's at home. Correct. Okay. Now Kayla is in her home and she also had a hookah that she usually had on the kitchen counter. Correct. Okay. But when you went in there, you saw that the hookah or pieces of it were on the ground. Correct. I only saw the top part of the hookah, correct? Okay. So you saw parts of the hookah, correct? Okay. And you don't remember seeing any glass on the ground? No. All right. So you were testifying earlier that you performed CPR on Kayla at the direction of the 911 dispatcher. And when you were doing that, obviously you were touching her. Yes, correct. And said that you were kneeling down, right? Correct. And you were wearing shorts and that you were on your knees next to her, right? Correct. And when you spoke with the detectives, they collected all of your clothing and your shoes, correct? Right, because you told them you walked into the apartment, correct. Now you told the police that you never walked past the kitchen island, right? I never walked around it. Okay. You never walked around the kitchen island. Correct. Okay. So you remain in the area next to Kayla, right? Correct. And you would agree with me that ground was covered with blood. Correct. Okay. And so were you stepping on that and you were also kneeling on that, right? Well, no, there were spots on the floor where there wasn't blood all the way around the whole of the tile and the tiling where she was. Okay, so you found a spot that was clean to kneel down and perform CPR on her. As best as I could, yes. As best as you could, yes. Okay. But you would agree that the area was surrounding Kayla's body was pretty much covered in blood, correct? Okay. Now the police took your clothing, your shoes, and photographed all of you, right? Correct. All right. And you only had some blood on your right palm, right? No. Um you don't recall that? I had blood on all of my hand, all over my hand. Okay. And on your clothing? No. On your knees, I don't recall if I okay. And on my knees. All right. When the police spoke to you and you gave them two statements, the police never asked you about Nadia, correct? No, I referred to her. They asked me about Nadia, I think. Right. They didn't they didn't ask you any details about Nadia. I think I like her last name, where she lived, right? I don't recall. Okay, you never gave them Nadia's cell phone number? I don't recall if I did. Okay, reviewing the statements to the police refresh your memory? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. Judge, may I approach? Sure. So these are both of the same. Take your time. This is the whole statement. Those are both. So you want me to read the whole statement or just parts? Whatever will refresh your memory as to what you told the police about Nadia. And if it makes it easier, I can show you the portion of the deposition as well, page 55. May I approach? Sure. I know that that's a lot to read. Just read this page. All right. Is your memory refreshed? Yes. So, okay. So the police never asked you for Nadia's information, correct? No, not her phone number. No. Okay. Not her phone number and not her address, correct? No. I'm sorry. No. Okay. And to your knowledge, the police never contacted Nadia. No. And after you had spoken with the police, the next person you called was Genesia's boyfriend, Sean, right? Correct. Okay. Because you and Genesia were friendly, right? Friendly, yes. Okay. And you've spoken with Genesia since July 13th, right? Correct. Okay. And Genesia never told you if she ever met Miss Thompson, Sakina Thompson, face to face, right? No. Miss Johnson, so Miss Johnson, prosecutor, objection, Your Honor, hearsay. The court says overruled. He already answered. Okay, so Janicia never told you that she, hold on. The court, don't ask it again. Go ahead. You've asked it once. Okay, I didn't get his answer. The answer was overruled because he already answered, but you can't ask it again. Okay, all right. One moment, Your Honor. Sure. Mr. Robinson, you've been convicted of a felony before, correct? Correct. Okay, how many times? One. Miss Ross, okay, thank you. No further questions. Damn. Okay. It's look, this is just my first. So I think Sakina's lawyer is trying to like, okay, so there's two women here being cheated on. Kayla's dealing with two known, so she's dealing with Terry, she's dealing with Ravelto. Both guys have girlfriends. So I think even though Sakina is going to admit to killing Kayla, we already know this, right? That they immediately investigated Sakina, but they did not investigate Nadia. That's what I'm getting. The browser's lost connection with your camera. That's okay. Hold on a second, guys. Let me fix this because that's what it's sounding like to me. All right, 1 second, y'all. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get back to the redirect. You guys, I am let's see how much further we have. I mean, it's still like 100 more pages. If we don't, we might try to get through this tonight. I don't know. We might try to get through this tonight. But I have about like 20 more minutes because I gotta pick up. But not even tonight. Maybe I might just need to take a break and we'll plow through the rest of this if you guys want to. Okay. But I'm gonna have to take a little break for a minute and I gotta go pick up my kid. Okay, but we'll try to finish this first day because this is interesting because these are some details I did not know. Okay. So this is the redirect. Miss Johnson is back talking to Mr. Ravelto. Robinson, Mr. Robinson, would you agree with me that you liked Kayla? Yes. And Kayla liked you? Yes. Prior to finding Kayla in a pool of blood on the kitchen floor, had something ever happened to you like this before where you discovered a person like this? Miss Ross, objection, Your Honor. Relevance goes to the state of mind. Come sidebar, huh? Okay, go sidebar. Miss Johnson, it goes to the state of mind. He's being asked questions as to what he did not delve into on the day of the homicide that he got in his statements. Certainly they can agree in closing that he was in shock, but that he never found a dead body before. I don't see how that's relevant to this case and so we're getting the sidebars, by the way, relevant to the case and would be akin to asking someone, you've never been in trouble before, so this is how you reacted. I'll allow the question. Overruled. I'll allow the question. This has never happened to you before, correct? And he says correct. It's pretty pretty shocking to you, very much so. The statements that counsel referred to where you didn't delve into the prank calls when questioned by law enforcement. These statements that you gave to law enforcement were given the very same day you found Kayla, correct? Correct. Every question that they thought to ask you, you answered, correct? And Miss Ross brought out that you told me today that you were present for one of the prank calls and you never told law enforcement that you were present for one of the prank calls. You did give a deposition in this case, correct? Correct. And you told in your deposition that you were present during the prank call, correct? Correct. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why it didn't cross your mind to give law enforcement details and phone numbers for Nadia? It was very traumatic situation. Did you suspect Nadia? No, not one bit. You were asked questions about Nadia being jealous, correct? Correct. Has Nadia's jealousy ever led to violence? No. You were also asked about why seeing the top part of the hookah that Kayla would often have on the counter, correct? Correct. Another part of the hookah that Kayla had was a glass portion, correct? Correct. And this glass portion of the hookah is made up of just one little piece of glass, correct? Correct. You also didn't see Kayla's phone around her, correct? Correct. And during the times that you were with Kayla and that you known Kayla, she had her own phone. She had her phone with her, correct? Correct. In any of the prank calls that you were present for, were they the voice of Nadia? No. Miss Johnson said, I don't have no further question. Judge, one brief recross. Sure. Mr. Robinson, this deposition of the states referring to took place on January 31st, 2025. Correct? Correct. Almost 2.5 years after originally spoke to the police, correct? And that's the first time that you mentioned that you were present for one call, correct? Correct. And you still never told the police this information, even up to this day? Correct. I never spoke to the police again. Okay. But they gave you their cards. You never called anyone, right? No, I didn't. And during that call that you were present for, you never saw the phone number? Correct. Correct? Miss Ross. Okay, no further questions. Okay. So the next person is Jemiah. Jemiah is the girl that lived. Okay, let me not ruin it. If you've been watching the videos, Jemiah Anthony lives in the building. Okay, I wonder how long this one's going to be. What time is it? Maybe we should stop at Jemiah Anthony because we still have 100 pages to go, but I think we could probably finish this. All right, we've gone 2 hours. Let's go ahead and take a break. And we will finish. We'll probably finish this day. I feel like we could finish it. And we'll go on. Are you guys finding this interesting? There's about 100 of you guys here. Hopefully everybody has hit the thumbs up for me. We will finish this up when I get back. What are y'all thinking so far? I hate how they're like, correct. And then she's like, correct. I feel bad for Sakina and Kayla, but you don't go to a person's house. No. This is what I'm going to say. Okay, a couple things. This is some things I did not know because we knew Ravelto had a girlfriend. We knew obviously Terry had a girlfriend. Now, the fact that Nadia that they're I mean, I feel like Sakina's lawyers would be all too happy to try to um have tried to put something off on Nadia if they could have. I think they would have liked to have made Ravelto look potentially suspicious. Um, I think that as far as Nadia not knowing about Kate, so the fact that I guess I never really thought about it, but yeah, I mean, Kayla was dealing with two guys who both had girlfriends, who both were unaware that their boyfriends were fooling around with Kayla. I mean, obviously it was a problem. It's a problem, right? Um, Next thing. So, according to the defense, they say Kayla bipped Sakina over the head with the hookah. I'm sorry. You get hit over the head? Who gets hit over the head and turns around and reaches? I mean, I don't know, unless she's just a natural born killer, which maybe she might be. But I would think when you get hit over the head, wouldn't you stumble? Wouldn't you fall? Wouldn't you get dizzy? You're 8 weeks pregnant. You just got clunked over the head with a hookah. I don't believe that for a minute. I'm going to just say that. I don't believe that Kayla clunked Sakina over the head with no damn hookah. You get hit over the head with something, baby, you're discombobulated for a couple of seconds. You don't just like, bitch, let me grab a piece of glass. I don't believe that. They were probably fighting the hookah. Somebody tried to grab the hookah. The hookah probably fell, broke. Then she picked up a glass. There's no way to prove that Sakina got hit over the head with anything because number one, first of all, you had a hat on. You probably had a wig up under that hat. So you had padding, you had a hat, and if you got hit over the head, I don't know. I just don't believe that she got hit over the head because I think you get hit over the head. Some people are rendered into some like a state of confusion. Getting hit over the head is, I'm sure, not pleasant. Okay. I just don't believe that Kayla hit her over the head like that and hit her over to the point where you're going to, if you hit her that hard, I mean, we've seen people get hit over the head with bottles of champagne and stuff like that. They're in the fucking hospital. So she's trying to say that Kayla hit her over the head with a hookah, something metal and glass, and she was able to just bend down, pick up a piece of glass, and commence to stabbing and slashing. I don't believe that. Well, if she had bruises, guess what? She got on a plane and wasn't seen for 3 weeks. So there's no real way to know if Kayla had any injuries because she got on a plane and took off. She got on a plane, she took off and went about her business. So we don't have any way of knowing. Me personally, I'm going to be honest with you, and this may or may not be this, this is just my opinion. After you killed the girl, went and took her clothes, took her shoes, got yourself a shopping bag, packed up your stuff, threw your shit away, went back to the hotel, got a shower, got some meals, enjoyed Florida for another couple of days, got your ass back on a plane, and went home about your business for 3 weeks. I mean, I just, it's not giving you gave a fuck. It's giving I got away with murder and I don't have a problem anymore. That's what it's giving to me, was that she thought she got away with murder and that she thought she killed that girl and she wasn't really giving a fuck about anything else. That's just my opinion. Anyway, guys, let me let you guys go. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. We're at page 112. We got to go to page 211. So baby, we still got a ways to go. I will come back and we'll finish up. Hopefully, hopefully y'all will come back. I will see you guys a little bit later and we will finish up this day. Okay, it's Friday anyway, right? So we'll get this day finished up and we'll try to get through some more. Okay. All right. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to share it out for me. We will finish up the rest of this today so we can move on to the next day. What's on tap for the next day? Hold on, let's see. Uh all right, let me see. All right, I'll have that for you when we come back. I don't want to take up too much time right now. Um I feel like Jemiah, that's the neighbor. So Jemiah is the person when Sakina was walking the floor, she knocked on that girl's door. And if you want to hear the audio of that, if you go to the Sakina Kayla playlist, there's some audio and Jemiah is in one of those detective interview video audio recordings that I posted, right? So Jemiah's interview is there. I think we're also going to hear from Janisa Stitt today and something else. So I think there might be 2 or 3 more witnesses to go on today. So it should be pretty interesting. So I will see you guys back in a few hours, but I'll definitely see you a little bit later on today. So just make sure you have your notifications on. So when I go live and get back into this, you will be notified. Okay. All right, you guys. I will see you later. Bye, guys.